Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us back here at FUNToken's channel. We're sitting here once again with Adrian. And Adrian, previously, you told us about your background and how you got involved and kind of the FUNToken story in general, but we want to dive a little bit deeper today. But first off, how are you holding up over there?
Yeah, pretty good, thanks. Pretty good. How about you?
I'm doing pretty well here. We actually just got hit by a giant snowstorm, so I will be locked in for the day, but good thing.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
It's okay. That's the problems of living in Ohio. But anyways, I digress, man. So diving in, like I said, you talked about your past previously, but diving a little bit deeper, can you tell people what it is FUNToken is really about and the real potential here that people need to see?
Well, it's an interesting question because there's quite a lot of different facets to it. But fundamentally, it's about creating a token and an ecosystem for gambling. So it's really about looking at, firstly, to what extent one can decentralize the gambling experience, starting at the highest level, moving down deeper into the games and so on. And then also about how to create an ecosystem around that, because it's all very well wanting to create lots of scientifically cool stuff, but one has to create an ecosystem that people use and create value in the whole value chain. And that's a whole separate issue altogether, which we're addressing with the FUNToken now. More important, in fact, in my opinion, than just purely the tech. The tech is, it's there and it's interesting, and it's going to get more interesting, but that's not the main story.
That's a really good point. One of the things that was common in the early days of crypto, and it's working itself up now, as anyone in business would know. There was a lot of solutions looking for problems just based on the tech. And while the tech is great, you still need a business plan to generate value, as you had said.
Well, absolutely. I mean, it's one thing to create a cool solution to a problem, as you say, and sometimes I see these solutions being created where the problem's not actually one that the users see anyway. There may be a problem that's perceived from a technical point of view, but the users don't perceive that problem to exist. So in that case, there's a question of whether there's value in that, because ultimately, if you're not creating something that people want, you're not going to get traction and get usability. I think the primary thing for us for FUNToken is to create an ecosystem that thrives. So to have sufficient users and sufficient money flowing around the ecosystem that it gets a life of its own, and that's not easy to do. That's probably the hardest bit of all. Yeah.
Agreed. Yeah, that's definitely something that takes time. And so right now you guys were lined up. You're really getting things rolling here. I mean, it really seems like this fund to XFUN, as you guys go to Polygon, seems like one of the biggest catalysts. And as you said in the previous video, something you guys are still working out. But can you really point how big of a deal this swap for you guys?
It's a massive deal. There's a number of reasons why it's big for us. Firstly, Ethereum, as we know, is plagued with issues. The transaction fees are very high, gas fees. The network gets bogged down quite easily, and it's not optimal for what you need to have in a space where there's a high transaction volume. You need to be able to have things moving around at close to zero cost and have as little friction as possible in the movement, whether it's transferring value or whatever else you're doing. Having this big kludgy ecosystem that's not quite working is a massive hindrance to success. So we had to get off Ethereum, and what we've chosen to do is launch a secondary token, a layer 2 token called XFUN. We've named it differently. It's a bit like ETH and WEF, if you've come across them before. It's a token that will always have the value one-to-one with fun. We don't intend to explicitly list it on exchanges, although there's a point at which some exchanges may list it anyway, because that tends to happen sometimes. Yeah. But the intention is that the trading in FUN will continue to be in FUN. But what XFUN will do is it'll escrow tokens out of the FUN ecosystem. So, well, the FUN pool, if you like. So the ecosystem as a whole is FUN and XFUN. And for every XFUN that's minted, a FUN gets escrowed away into a holding account. So the number of FUN tokens that are in circulation and trading circulation will reduce by the number of tokens in use in the XFUN ecosystem. So as users migrate to using their tokens and the gambling opportunities, and bear in mind that the same goes for the lay side, so the operators need to lay in the same tokens, what will happen is the liquidity will move from FUNToken to XFUN and essentially reduce supply substantially. Essentially by creating a utility on Polygon that is draining tokens from the trading liquidity on Ethereum, we create scarcity on Ethereum as well. And that's of course has an impact on the price down the track.
Yeah, agreed. And like you had said, this is a necessary step for you guys to build an ecosystem where transactions are incredibly expensive as well. People will be able to do more on it. And on top of it, as you said, the scarcity comes into play with the tokenomics, with the supply and demand. So that's kind of on plan. Can you tell me a couple more things you have lined up here for the first quarter?
Let's look at where we're going with this. We're looking at decentralizing gambling. So take the very highest level of decentralization, the player account. Players have an account on a poker site, a sports book, a casino, whatever. They'll tend to deposit into their account, play with their money for a bit, maybe leave some there, deposit in another account, and so on. So the first step in decentralization is to move that cash from those operators into a decentralized wallet. So we're releasing in Q1 of this year decentralized wallets, so non-custodial wallets for the phones, for iOS and for Android, that will enable our users to store their XFUN and their FUN on their phone essentially, and to switch between XFUN and FUN on the phone. So it'll build the exchange functionalities built into those wallets as well. And those wallets will connect with any third-party operator as well. So we'll start to open up the ecosystem to third parties. Apart from our own properties, the Dplay and the XFUN Casino, which will also launch in the first quarter, we'll be opening up to third parties to increase the opportunities for our users to gamble and essentially provide more places for them to move money in and out of and in this ecosystem at a zero cost, thanks to the Polygon network and thanks to the way we're implementing the XFUN token.
Yeah, wonderful. I do agree that having accessibility for your guys' wallet is a humongous part of actually getting this stuff in play and in people's hands so they can mess around with it. And the casino, of course, will just be the cherry on top for you guys in this quarter. So moving on to Q2, I mean, looking forward, obviously, as you had said previously, it's really all about not so much sticking to these timelines strictly, but releasing a polished final product when you release it. But can you just kind of go through the plans for Q2?
Yeah, so it's more essentially more of I wouldn't say more of the same, but it's building out that ecosystem. So somewhere between Q1 and Q2, it may actually come out earlier than Q2. We'll be bringing the loyalty program user base from Free Bitcoin across onto the XFUN infrastructure. And don't underestimate that. I mean, there's 290,000 people on Free Bitcoin right now who have bought FUN. They've bought 600 million FUN. So there's not small numbers, and that's in less than a year of the rewards program running. So bringing those users onto XFUN increases the user base on chain. You'll see them using the decentralized wallets and starting to move their tokens around, moving between the casinos and the new offerings with the third party. So that's part of it. Is the Free Bitcoin integration and moving from FUN to XFUN and Free Bitcoin. And then we'll be looking at third parties, at opening up the APIs to third parties. So whether they be casino, sportsbook, poker, whatever. We've had a lot of interest in that, and I look forward to actually seeing some of that come to light.
Yeah, I'm real curious to see how the metaverse and the NFTs really come into play. Obviously, I think everyone's pretty bullish on the metaverse now at this point. Obviously, pretty much as soon as Facebook they're named a Meta, it's like, all right, guys, this is happening. We've been saying it's happening for a long time. It's going to start swinging into full gear. Is there any speculation or any teasers you can give on that so far?
You know, it's the two are separate subjects in some respects, but they're interlinked. A lot of talk about Metaverse. Look, I don't know where it'll go in the end, but we certainly would be wrong not to at least participate. Sure. I'd love to have a FUN casino sitting in Decentraland or Sandbox or one of these other places. I mean, why not? You know, let them play with FUN and let's expand the user base. Reality right now, the user bases in these universes are relatively small, but that'll change over time. Whether that'll become as big as everyone thinks it will, I don't know. We know it's not the first time we've seen this. Second Life, if you remember, that was quite a while ago. That had casinos, by the way. You know, so yeah, I don't know. I can't predict where that's going to go, but certainly for us not to be involved would be the wrong decision. And then NFTs, massive news this year. NFTs, they've been last year. They've shown tremendous growth, and again, we're looking at different ways of creating our NFTs, whether as player awards or prizes or whatever, but building an NFT ecosystem out as well. And we're partnering with a really cool company in the UK on that. We'll be announcing that in the coming weeks, and that's I'm pretty excited about that too.
Wonderful. Yeah, it is really interesting. And as you said, these two techs are kind of tied together. It really seems like the metaverse is a perfect place to display NFTs, or at least integrate them in ways people can use them. Second Life, as you said, was a big precursor to all of this, and there was definitely real value created in that ecosystem. So I'm curious to see how that really plays out today. So yeah, again, just looking forward a little bit more, looking at Q3, Q4. Obviously, like it's not right around the corner at this point. We're more focused on this first quarter here. But if you could just lay out some general guidelines, what should people expect then?
Well, I think it's about growth. I could go into a whole lot of tech, and I'm sure if you look at our roadmap, which I don't even look at to remember, loads of good stuff going on. Yeah, I'd forgotten all that. We're going to launch the sports again, which is great. I mean, the peer-to-peer sports we did with better betting, that was performing really well before Ether gas fees went up, and I'm looking forward to launching that again. That's totally on-chain. That's the ultimate decentralization. No off-chain financial transactions at all. And then bringing that same concept into casino, which is to some degree what Jez did with Funfair some time ago. So that's pretty cool. But bigger than that, I think it's got to be about growth. It's got to be about getting our user base from 250,000 to 2 million, 2 or 3 million. Get some real numbers in there, which makes us a significant player. Just to give some idea, Polygon right now runs at about 290,000 active users per day. It's not a massive number. I would expect us to become a significant part of that user number within a relatively short period of time, given that we're pulling from that huge traffic acquisition tool, which Free Bitcoin is, where we have 48 million players that we market to on a regular basis, and we're signing up 500,000 a month more. So, it's a big. It gives us the ammunition to do what we need to do, and I think that if anything makes this thing work, it's being able to create that size of usage and that size of in terms of dollar terms of money flowing through the ecosystem that'll drive this thing forward. And when you start to put this into real numbers, if you understand the amount of cash that sits in player accounts at sports books and casinos, it is massively huger than FUNToken's market cap right now. So if we start to capture even a small part of that custodial cash in our ecosystem, we're actually starting to see market caps are way in excess of where we're at right now.
Yeah, very, very well said. There's definitely a lot of room to grow here for you guys. You have really well laid out plans, and everybody, we encourage you to ask questions about it. Go ahead and jump in. So where can people go to find out more, Adrian?
Well, FUNToken.io is our website. We will be launching a new website for XFUN. It'll be separate for that, focused purely on XFUN. But FUNToken.io is the place to go. Yeah. Well, we're on Telegram. We've got a fairly active user base on Telegram and Twitter as well. So those are probably the two most active channels. We're on Discord as well, and the channels are all monitored 24/7. So you should be able to get an answer there.
Wonderful. Well, Adrian, thank you so much for your time today. Any last words? Any closing statements before we go?
No, I think that's it for me. I need to get my head back into some code.
All right, Adrian. Well, again, thank you for coming on. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Don't be afraid to dive in and ask questions and let us know what you think. We'll happily answer them for you. But for now, stay tuned for another video. Have a wonderful day.